1964 to 1971 is seen as the golden age of muscle cars, with the Pontiac GTO being recognized as the forerunner of American muscle cars. The continuous oil crisis at the time led to the imposition of stringent emissions requirements on automakers after 1971. Fuel was expensive, sort of what it is now. Thus, cars that were more fuel efficient were required. Before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you love some American muscle. Automakers grudgingly modified their existing engine plants to create some quite slow, muscle vehicles because great gas mileage was not a hallmark of muscle cars. Regretfully, this persisted until the middle of the 1990s, by which time the quality of the performances was still mediocre. Sending these 10 models to the scrapyard, however, can be viewed as a significant service because they mark an all-time low. 10. 1978 Ford Mustang II King Cobra. Performance-wise, almost every American high-performance car produced after 1971 was neutered. The Ford Mustang was also not an anomaly. Although the legendary blue oval model is officially categorized as a pony car, there were a number of performance variations that helped pave the way for the growth of the muscle car market. The demand for automobiles with greater fuel efficiency led to the development of the second-generation Mustang. This smaller Mustang was designed with Lee Iacocca in mind, and to be honest, it was an attempt to make the most of a difficult circumstance. Power was practically non-existent, as even the range-topping 4.9-liter Windsor V8 was pumping out a laughable 142 horsepower, even in King Cobra's guise, resulting in a 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, time of 10.5 seconds. 9. 1978 Oldsmobile 442. The original 1964 Oldsmobile 442 is best described as big, comfortable, and speedy. The original car's dual exhausts, 4-speed manual gearbox, and 4-barrel carburetor are what gave rise to the moniker 442. With the release of the second generation, which gave the muscle car an even larger 455 cubic inch, 7.5-liter V8, things only got better. Everything began to collapse after that, and eventually the fourth generation reached its lowest point. Even though it only produced 160 horsepower, Chevy's dependable 305 V8 could nevertheless run a 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, sprint in 10.5 seconds. In 1980, a more potent 5.7-liter V8 was introduced, although its 185 horsepower was hardly an upgrade. There was a 5-speed manual option, although most were equipped with a 4-speed manual or a 3-speed auto. 8. 1974 Pontiac GTO. One of the cars that helped to establish the American muscle car market was the Pontiac GTO. The 1974 release of the fourth-generation GTO demonstrates just how fast things went south. Luckily, the fourth-generation GTO was only around for a single year. The vehicle was similar in appearance to other compact GM models and the third-generation Chevy Nova, thanks to the X-body chassis. The 5.7-liter 350 V8 engine was the only available engine option. It was neutered to produce a pitiful 200 horsepower and a respectable 295 pound-feet, 400 newton-meters of torque. 3-speed automatic and 3 or optionally 4-speed manual transmissions were available as options. With the latter, it took 7.7 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, and 9.5 seconds to reach the top speed. It keeps getting worse from here, so stick with us to find out. 7. 1974 Ford Gran Torino. There were still plenty of large displacement muscle cars in the mid-1970s, even with the strict emissions laws in place. The larger, more opulent Ford Gran Torino was a class above the Mustang in the company's portfolio. The 7.4-liter 460 V8 engine was the best engine for 1974. The engine in question was rated at over 400 horsepower just a few years prior, but in this instance, power was measured at 220 horsepower and 355 pound-feet, 482 newton-meters. The Gran Torino was a large, heavy boat that could reach speeds of 97 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour, in 9.6 seconds. Even though the muscle car saw some screen time in Starsky and Hutch, 2004, it moved far more slowly than it did in the film. 6. 1975, Chevrolet Camaro. When the second-generation Chevrolet Camaro went on sale in 1970, it performed admirably for its first year of availability. Performance-wise, things began to deteriorate in 1971. The once dominant Chevy V8S began to lose power until 1975, when the lowest point was achieved. The most potent engine available for a Generation 2 Camaro this year was a 5.7-liter, 350 cubic inch V8 with 145 horsepower. Performance improvements were available with the Z28 package, which was an optional add-on. Although power increased to 155 horsepower later in the year, it was hardly noticeable. Furthermore unimpressive were the torque measurements, which came in at 250 pound-feet, 339 Newton-meters. It took 10.5 to 12 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, depending on the gearbox and package you chose. 5. 1976 Dodge Charger. Even one of the most recognizable American muscle vehicles, the Dodge Charger, wasn't immune to the oil crisis. When the fourth version of this Mopar made its debut in 1975, power was significantly less than with the previous model, even though it still had a choice of 318, 360, and 400 cubic inch V8 engines. Since the top-of-the-line 6.6-liter engine produced 285 pound-feet and 185 horsepower, 386 Newton-meter, 1976 was the worst year ever. The Charger was always a large, weighty vehicle, and its 4,250 pound, 1,928 kilograms curb weight didn't help with performance either. The top-of-the-line engine was only coupled to a 3-speed automated gearbox, enabling a sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, in 11 seconds. 4. 1980 Mercury Capri. In 1978, Ford unveiled the Mustang Fox body. An identical technological replica, the Mercury Capri, debuted a year later and was intended to be a more opulent take on the pony vehicle. Additionally, it was equipped with unique Mercury insignia to set it apart from the European Ford Capri. The Italian island of Capri serves as the inspiration for the Capri brand. All three of Ford's divisions have used it in automotive applications. Mercury first used the moniker Capri for the standard trim of the Mercury Comet in 1966 and 1967. Engine choices were the same as for the Ford Mustang of the third generation, with the 1980 model having the least powerful engine. The 4.2-liter V8 was the Capri's top model. The legendary 5.0 was not even available for 1980. It produced a pitiful 118 horsepower and 194 pound-feet, 263 Newton-meters of torque. Even worse, the 2.3-liter Turbo 4 generated the same amount of power. The Ruthless Coupe's 3-speed automatic reached 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, in 12.8 seconds. If this is bad, wait for flop number 2 on the list. 3. 1980-1981 Pontiac Grand Prix. Similar to other American producers, a reduction tendency was compelled by the mid-1970s. Although the name Pontiac Grand Prix first appeared in 1965, the large Grand Tourer underwent changes for the fifth generation, 1978 to 1987, becoming less thrilling and more compact. One of the worst years to watch the Grand Prix if you want to do well is 1980. A new, smaller 4.3-liter engine with 125 horsepower and 210 pound-feet, 285 Newton-meters of torque took the place of the old 4.9-liter V8. This translates to a time of 14 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour. A 5.7-liter Oldsmobile diesel V8 with 105 horsepower and 205 pound-feet, 276 Newton-meters, was also available in 1981. That one didn't sell well since it was pricey, unstable, and slow. It took 16.4 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour. 2. 1979-1980 Pontiac Trans Am and Trans Am Turbo. Thanks to Smokey and the Bandit, The Pontiac Trans Am, like other American muscle vehicles, has been immortalized in motion pictures. Many people still have vivid memories of seeing a black and gold Pontiac driven by Burt Reynolds, but the vehicle's actual performance was never as good as the hype. Only 125 horsepower and 245 pound-feet, 332 Newton-meters, were produced by the Chevrolet 305 V8, a 5-liter engine, in 1978. It took 12.9 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, which felt more like an eternity. The 4.9-liter Pontiac 301 Turbo V8 made its debut in 1980. It produced 345 pound-feet, 464 Newton-meters, and 210 horsepower. As a result, the time from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, was a whopping 7.9 seconds. Nevertheless, complexity and dependability problems resulted from this. 1. 2000 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS. Automobiles such as the Buick GNX demonstrated that muscle can exist without a V8 engine. GM made an effort to imitate that in the early 2000s with the 6th-generation Chevrolet Monte Carlo. The way it was done was awful. In essence, they just painted a front-wheel drive coupe with a cheap interior with a SS badge and called it a day. With 200 horsepower, or barely 20 more than the original car, the 3.8-liter V6 engine in the Monte Carlo SS was not a significant upgrade over the 3.3-liter unit. Even the torque value of 225 pound-feet, 305 Newton-meters, was nothing to write home about. The sole available gearbox was a 4-speed automatic, which produced an average acceleration time of 8.6 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour. While these cars might not have lived up to the muscle car dream, they serve as a reminder of how far the genre has come. What are your favorite muscle cars of all time? Let us know in the comments. Enough with the flops, how about the best? Find out the 10 greatest full-size classic muscle cars produced in Detroit. See you in the next one.